that the What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. It's definitely Wednesday. Welcome to this fun and exciting afternoon of fun because, well, you'll see. It's been a busy day already. Been going since 3 a.m. I'm trying to pull up something here. There we go. All right. Getting everything all set. Every single time we do this, a little bit more accustomed to what needs to get done. Creators adapting live automated mid-rolls saw, on average, 20% uplift in, well, okay. Thanks, YouTube, for that heads up. Anyway, welcome, everybody. How are you? It's Wednesday. We're going to have some fun. We're watching something called Smoke and Scan. And yeah, I'll get you caught up. It's it's carrying on with this anti-Scientology protester group, right? And some of you may know what's going on there. Some of you may know some of the characters involved, or the bad actors, as one might say. But Hope, I am so sorry to hear you're not feeling well. Why is that there? If we do that, does it fix it? Okay, there we go. There we All right. We got our first thumbs down. I love it. Thumbs down are good. What's going on, y'all? Hopefully that's my favorite person. We're going to talk about him too. Or her. We don't know. Zim. I'm going to change one thing real quick here. I did something to the programming, and I got to turn it back on, I realize, because there we go. Your comments are going to stay up there as long as they can. Now they'll be up for 20 seconds. So, Honkus, don't be giving Hope a hard time. Don't be giving her a hard time. So let me pull up this. Some of you might have seen my community post that I put up. This is a new one here. Let me see if I can. Which button do I have to do to put this up? It'll be this one, but then I got to change it. Oh, magic! It worked. It's one of my favorites. Can you guys see this? All right. This is from my pal. He posted the other day, but he sent me a new one, and oddly, it does not look as though my computer is caught up with the new stuff yet. That's unfortunate. Let me pull this up for you, because I found it entertaining in my day-to-day to have this person come back up again. Oh, even more. Okay, here. We do this. He says, who said I was a fan? Let's see if it. He says, who said I was a fan of the D? Because his Kyle Gass. Let me pull this up here. Kyle Gass is part of Tenacious D, right? But that's how he signs his emails right now. He used to go by John Brown, which I thought was interesting. This person. The original email address that he used was John Brown, and now he's switched to something called Jables in Cage, which I think is a Tenacious D reference. I'm not a Tenacious D fan. I've worked with Jack Black. I've met Jack Black. I did a TV series for HBO called The Brink, starring Jack Black. It was fun. It was a fun comedy, military and political show on HBO. They only did one season. But he said, who said I was a fan of the D? Have fun with the trolls, you sad sack of shit. P.S. I'm not, quote, the trolls or Kyle Gass. Yeah, no shit. I pretty much knew you weren't Kyle Gass, which is pretty, I don't know. Anyway, I responded to him that it's clear that he had mental handicap because so he sent more since I responded back to him. He says, I must be hovering directly over the target, Chris. Where's all that never before seen J6 footage, Mr. Big Time Hollywood key grip? I was a dolly grip. I keyed a couple jobs, couple films, but no, it was a dolly grip. But thanks for looking me up. He says, you don't want to get like Tim Pool. But he switched the letters around. I don't know why. I guess he's not a fan of Tim Pool either. Wizzy, I promise you that. So for those of you who don't know, Tim Pool has been swatted. He's at 15 times this year. They have crazy, kooky people showing up over there. That's one of the things he was talking about on his live stream last couple nights, and how it affects his family. So I'm guessing that's sort of a threat by this person who goes by, well, he did stop signing his name, Kyle Gass. He says, oh, one more thing. You brought California with you to Hagerstown. I brought California with me to Hagerstown. Hagerstown has become like California. He says, you did this to us, you carpet-bagging West Coast bisexual freak. I don't know who he's watching, but comical. But anyway, that takes us to all our other stuff. But how you guys doing today? Party Bonds is here. Troy's in the house. How are you, Troy? Why do you think Gra's getting a lap dance? Gra might be napping. Gra just might be napping. But no, this is going to be kind of a fun little stream. So, you know, we were talking about Scientology the other night and these protesters. And our old friend DOA, Scott Hochstetter, who's out in LA, who's been protesting. Well, they made an appearance today. They made an appearance today at the LA City Council. And Smoke and Scan. I put the link in the description of this video. If you're not familiar with Smoke and Scan, he does really fun police chase coverage and covers the LA City Council meetings, which, if you're not familiar with the LA City Council meetings, to say the least, they are crazy. They get obnoxiously out of control. The people who show up to give public comment is really what Damon's watching it for, because you have a host of characters that show up to protest the city and the people of the council. That's all. Yeah, not even going to get into it. But so joining the festivities today are the anti-Scientology protesters. And so they showed up. And so that's what we're going to watch, because I thought it was fun to hear them go on camera at the city council. And I would be showing you the LA City Council feed. But the thing that Damon does that's really great is he's zooming in so you can see who's talking. And so I hope he does not mind that I'm showing his footage. But you'll understand here too in a minute. He may actually get some information out of this because he has a question at some point about something that's said. So let's watch. Let me make sure this is good to play.
Please remind us of the name that you signed up under and the items you'd like.
We're gonna have to crank up this audio.
Defender Advance, item 15 in public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
Yeah, 15. You guys are removing property from the homeless, the unhoused.
Oh, there he is.
Just like Inside Safe, I've watched a numerous Inside Safe clearing of encampments.
Little tiny piece of information here. This is one of those subjects that's very difficult for people. And you probably have seen the videos of these homeless encampments that take over the sidewalks. When I was living in Los Angeles, Hollywood, downtown LA, a number of fires which started because of the homeless that were living outside of buildings. Well, it turns out one of the things that happens is they argue and fight with each other. And then what they end up doing, based on police reports and news reports is that they end up setting each other's tents on fire as retribution for whatever argument they had. So a number of buildings have been burned down due to these encampments. Well, Scott's upset because one day in his live stream, when he was out protesting, out driving around, actually, he sees this homeless encampment cleanup. So the city, what they have to do is, in order to remove people from the street, from areas where the buildup of trash, garbage, whatever you want to call that. Some people think it's their personal effects. It may be. The city gives 45-day notice. They post that notice in that area to let the people who are there on the streets have time to relocate someplace else. Then you've also got activist groups and homeless outreach groups that go out and try to find places for these people to go. LA offers a lot of opportunity for the unhoused to have some place to stay. The problem is, typically what happens is you have to follow certain rules. Sometimes there's extremely strict rules. There is a curfew. There is no drugs or alcohol allowed. There's these different rules, and people choose not to abide by them. And so therefore they can't stay wherever, that shelter is, or in that shelter. They've also been giving hotel rooms at huge cost to the city of Los Angeles and to the people who live there. So there are opportunities, there are ways, but they want to move, just like Venice Beach, AMC. Yes, Venice Beach. So if you remember back, it would have been 3, maybe 4 years now. The people who live in Venice Beach have homes along the boardwalk. It got so bad, they had to call in the sheriff. And the sheriff went out there, which is not a sheriff. They have jurisdiction there as well, because their LA County sheriff falls in LA County. But because LAPD wasn't doing anything about the problem, the fights, caught on camera, the knife fights, different violent actions going on. The people were fed up that lived down there, and they wanted something done. Sheriffs came in, sort of cleaned it up. I've seen different things. It seems to be back to what it is. The goal wasn't to get rid of the craziness in Venice Beach, because it's always been Venice Beach, right? But the unhoused and the drugs have become a huge problem. So this is what Scott's talking about, is he rolled up on this cleanup so that the city comes in when that 45 days hits, the date that they've established as the day they're going to come and clean up. Whatever's left behind, which could be nothing if people moved out, moved their stuff, they go in and they pressure wash, they clean up the sidewalks, they clean up the area. Well, Scott came up on this, and some people, he harassed this group of women that were doing outreach, homeless outreach. Just such an asshole. It's really, I'd love to show you the video, but I can't. I can't show you the video. You can go watch it on Scott's stream if you want. DOA is where he was. He may not even have it up anymore. It's really bad. I have the video. For those of you on Discord, maybe I'll post it up there if you want to see it. But what he'll do is he'll copyright strike me for showing his video, whether it's fair use or not, and I'm not going to deal with that. So, yeah, Breeze, did you see it? Did you see what Scott did to that group of people that were out there trying to help the homeless? Like, it's a really great example of how off the rails this guy is, because he wants to help people while simultaneously being a huge asshole to the very same people that are actually trying to do something to help people in the community. Hang on. Let me check something here, because I may have some trouble. Let's see. Troy, are you sending me something? I just gotta make sure everything's okay. May just be my computer checking up and doxing grandma. You saw it. AMC, you really don't need to see it to understand. You've seen what an asshole the guy is anyway. But he's so quick and triggered to go off on these people because he thinks that they're the ones that are, attacking the unhoused, homeless. They're not. And, Scott talked to the homeless people. And of course they say, oh yeah, our stuff was just taken. Well, they also know that they've got so much time to get rid of their stuff. And no matter which side you're on, there's people who want to allow the city of Los Angeles to look like shit. And then there's those who are like, enough is enough. We got to figure out a way to solve this problem. So anyway, let's go back to the video. That's what Scott starts out with, and watch what happens. Because, city council, they've seen people like Scott show up there. They have their protesters. His buddy William Good was William arrested there? He might have been. He might have been one of the ones. I can't remember. There's been a bunch of arrests. These protesters come in and try to take over the council meeting and shut it down, and they've been arrested.
I saw one without any notice, no notice to any unhoused. But what is really frustrating
The city doesn't go in without giving.
you're alleging that their services.
So, Speaker, this is not related to the rent escrow program. So you're welcome to speak to this during general if you'd like.
This is about the Los Angeles Housing Department, right?
They are
Item
very,
15?
they are very
Item
strict
15
about
is a rent
sticking to the
escrow
agenda
program
items.
item. So I'm going to move you to general public comment. You can continue speaking for your 1 minute.
All right. So I've been at gunpoint 7 times by LAPD. 7 times. All right?
Do you all know why he's been at gunpoint 7 times? Because LAPD has a protocol. Certain calls get a specific type of response. So somebody, maybe more than one person, have been an echo. Oh. Okay. Let's see here. It's an echo. Oh, hang on one second. AMC Kingdom, is it an echo only in the video playback? Watching live streams has never done a live stream. But I think I realized what was going on. I've never tried. I don't think I've ever tried using the playback. You're fine. Just okay. I door knocker. Tell me if this fixes it.
Church of Scientology is a cult. One of the victims that was raised in Scientology is here. Hopefully she shares her story. Who is getting paid by the Church of Scientology to allow all those swattings on us? All the protesters?
That's unfortunate. I got to figure out. I'm sorry. Give me a second here. Let me figure out what's going on here. If there's an echo there. I need to mute it. That's what it is. All right. Door knocker. Tell me if we have solved the problem.
All the restraining orders that we beat, I just beat a case last week for protesting on L. Ron Hubbard Way that's been closed since June. Children are auditing men,
like that might have done.
asking questions about anal sex and masturbation. Who is being paid by Scientology on this?
All right. So door knocker says yes. So fixed. Excellent. Okay. Thank you, watching live streams, for helping that out. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah. Here, we'll go back here. just a little bit.
That we beat. I just beat a case last week.
Oh, right.
For
we were talking
protesting
about the swattings. He doesn't know who's swatting him. Like, it's near impossible to figure out how these swattings are occurring. The swattings always appear to have somebody saying just the right thing. And they're reporting a person with a gun. They're reporting something happening besides the fire calls, which apparently are happening as well. So the swatting calls, when they happen, it is something serious. So the police are showing up, guns drawn, and he's upset. And I get that, right? It's not fun. He also has very little understanding of policing, how you have dispatch. So 911 call goes into dispatch. Dispatch takes the call. They then put out in their system the call. Code 3 means lights and sirens. It's an immediate response, highest priority, right? Which is important because not all calls are high priority, especially in the city of Los Angeles, where depending on what you're reporting to 911, it could take 5 hours before a police officer shows up. I had an incident at the shop that they showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning after, a call that went in at 9, right? They show up and they're like, sorry it took us so long, but we had other stuff going on. I get it, right? There's certain things that take priority. There's only so many officers. They've, tried to defund the police. A lot of police officers left. They're understaffed, whatever. Besides the point. But the simple fact is, yes, he has been swatted over and over, and he does nothing to prevent it or to stop it, right? He was swatted in multiple cities. Across Los Angeles, he got swatted in Utah, right? The other protesters have also been swatted. No, Tony, you weren't. It's coming up. It's going to happen in just a second. And that's where I thought that maybe if Damon sees that I did this live stream with his presentation of the meeting, that he might understand, because he was very curious. Obviously, you might have caught on that was going on, but we're getting there. It's coming up. But you're giving away the surprise. Not that it's a surprise, but so they've had all of these assumptions as to who's been calling. Now, one of the, I told you the story before, is one of the protesters, Denver J, who's from Denver, was at the Scientology in Denver when he was swatted. And during his live stream, the police officer says that the phone call came from a New York cell on a New York cell tower. So I would imagine that the 911 system has the ability to trace the call. That's part of that whole system, right? I can't tell you how it's done. Maybe we can figure it out. I'm not going to figure it out, but I get that they know where the calls are coming from. And the officer also mentions that they called back whoever it was that made the phone call, and that person didn't know who or what this was about. I get a lot of phone calls from numbers that look like my cell phone number. And these are what's called a spoof call. The spoof call uses a phone number that looks like yours that might be recognizable, whatever. And they call using that number. And then whether it's a scammer, whatever they're doing, whatever the reason why they're calling that number, that's why you never, say words like yes and whatnot in, these phone call conversations if you actually talk to them. But you should never talk to anybody you don't know on the phone, because they may be recording using your voice to access accounts, whatnot. And I don't think you did, ZDT. And that's the funny thing, is that they are really adamant that they think it's you. And you literally have been on live stream when these calls have happened, to the point where you couldn't have made the call. While simultaneously, it takes a decent amount of technology and technical background, sophisticated technical background, to make these spoof calls in the way that they're doing it. Now, they're not unique, these Scientology protesters. These swattings have been happening for a long time, mostly towards conservatives and politicians. A number of, Washington politicians have been swatted. Tim Pool talks about the swattings that happened at his place. These are not new, right? They're new to Scott because he became, the butt of the joke for whoever is doing these swattings. Clearly, it's somebody that's watching his live stream, somebody that is clearly quick enough to figure out where they're at and what they're doing. And so that's been going on. So I'm not taking that away from him. And I know it sucks for Scott, while simultaneously, whoever's doing it, nobody knows what their motives are. Their motives might just be because he's a live streamer, he has an audience, and haha, it's fun. Chances are that's probably the reason why. He believes that Scientology's been doing it. He believes that ZDT's been the one doing it. And that's what he's alluding to here.
L. Ron Hubbard Way, that's been closed since June.
There's so much something.
Children are auditing men, asking questions about anal sex and masturbation. Who is being paid by Scientology on this council? How dare you allow Scientology to continue? And why is ZDT, the one calling in the swattings, not under arrest for saying he allow Scientology to continue?
These are all baseless claims, by the way.
And why is ZDT, the one calling in the swattings, not under arrest for saying he's going to rape a minor?
CDT?
Yeah, see, even...
Next speaker?
Even
What is he
Damon,
talking about?
even Damon was confused. Like, Damon has no idea. Like, this is where Scott really shows how off his rocker is. Because if you're going to go into City Hall and make these claims, one, give them something. Give them some sort of evidence, some sort of proof, right? Like, we've all watched the Diddy stuff going on. There's a lot of claims and whatnot. There's hard evidence that we know from when the FBI did the raid, right? Certain things have come out. Patricia, it seems to be mostly just that. His shenanigans come down to he knows what makes him money when it comes time to do his live streams, and he sees the money come in, and so he's willing to do and say whatever. He's willing to be an ass and act like an ass for cash. So, one of the live streamers was he need to go back for the first time seeing Scott and all the SWATs and show them all in order one night. Gosh, I really should I fix that. I don't know why it does that. It changes this. It's supposed to go bigger. I don't know what's going on. There's a weird bug in here. And I know it's user error. I just haven't figured out what the adjustment is. That's a lot. We can watch TPC 1776, The Friend, and now Scientology. Yeah, Christy, he's left a trail of crap wherever he's gone. Scott lost it a long time ago, Gra. He lost it a long, long time ago. So, ask for cash. I think you're right. That is the song name. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's this. It's the, it's going to do that. I realize it's the scene. I got to go through every scene and fix it and make it correct because now I understand. I just realized what was wrong. So if we go back here and then I can, let's see it. This will be the test. See there, it's good. And here, I'll put up this big one. See, that's the way it's supposed to look. That's the right way. All right. Thank you. Oh, I see what happened. I got you, Troy. Thank you. Troy's sharing the love on Discord. That's what the notification was. So here, we'll go back here. And then obviously, he thinks it's ZDT. For the longest time, they're like, it's Scientology doing it. Well, one, Scientology would probably get caught because making these phone calls is not easy. And what do you risk by doing that? Do you think for a second that maybe if Scientology was making these phone calls, and let's just say they got caught, that comes at a huge risk. Is Scott worth the risk? I don't think so. I don't think what Scott's doing is worth the risk to them, right? Because he's just being a nuisance at this point. Now, there was one man who they had an altercation with. They knocked him off his scooter, one of the guys, and then, Scott harassed him, and he petitioned for a restraining order. I forget what exactly they call it in LA. Personal protective order. And he failed at that. Scott won that because he's a nuisance. The judge called him a name. It was kind of funny and accurate. Scott has the First Amendment right. I also don't think that I feel like the court got it wrong. I feel like the judge got it wrong. But I don't know the evidence that was shown. And that's the thing is, and I could be wrong. I feel like I've seen enough to know that, yeah, this guy deserved a restraining order against Scott. If only for his religious rights. And again, I could be wrong. I think people have that right to their religion, whatever that may be. Whether I like it, Scott likes it, whatever. Yes, girl. She's coming up shortly. She's going to have her moment of stardom. We'll keep going. Thanks for moving that along. Here.
Anybody?
So this is going to be another one of the
translation
activists.
Services in Korean available?
Hi, Taylor.
So
Yes.
if they weren't requested at a
She's
time, we
called
do not
Audit
believe
LA.
we have a Korean interpreter on staff right
She
now.
scoots around. She was scooting around one night
But
when
for anybody who would like interpreter
Scott was out
services, if
harassing
you let us
people
know 48
in front
hours in
of,
advance, we will do our best to have an interpreter.
in front of La Poubelle one night. And then something happened with this guy that just had enough of Scott, swatted it and slapped his phone. I said swatted. I meant he slapped his phone, right? And so Scott's all upset. And then the woman here, she's in a wheelchair. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she goes by Audit LA is her YouTube channel. You can go watch her. She's a piece of work too.
Fine, thank you. I'm speaking on item 23 about the CUB license for 3300 West 8th Street. My name is Patty Wong, and I'm here on behalf of my parents who purchased
No, not that one.
coming out of the front of
That's just normal stuff.
No karaoke bar for you, sir or ma'am.
Audit LA,
Audit
Amanda
LA.
Burke, Yaya Sinwar, Ron Hubert.
And Mike
So
Hawk.
in the city council meetings, they do general public comment and issues.
And Laura FM.
Please
line up.
There's a number of the anti-Scientology protesters that are there. The
Good
guy that's back,
I would like to speak
Is that the
on
dead
Behind her
all
is this
agenda
Henry,
items and public comment,
who's been out
please.
there
Someone's
Which
protesting.
German
name did you
inside
sign up
of-
under?
Audit LA.
Okay, so yes, you have 3 minutes
So
for the
she's-
items and 1 minute for general. Please begin with the
This
items.
is fun.
No,
Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, first I want to talk
I'm gonna
about.
ruin the bit for her. So what she's doing is she's talking about providing housing for the homeless in Los Angeles. She's going to mention a couple hotels. I think it's 2 hotels. What they are is they're actually Scientology's housing, right? So Celebrity Center considers it's not a hotel to the public. You can't stay there. You can't just walk up and rent a room or get a hotel room for the night. Maybe if they wanted to help you, they probably would. But when they say hotel, they refer to the hotel as a place for people who are in town for services. They have this hotel. So you can stay in the Celebrity Center housing levels. I forget how many floors the hotel is. It's an old building, but I think at least 2 of the floors have hotel rooms that you can use, pay for, if you're there doing services, church services, right? Auditing, whatever you're doing while at the church, you can use. Then the blue building has places like that as well within their buildings. That building is an old church that's been converted by Scientology. Scientology historically has, in Los Angeles, bought up old dilapidated buildings and actually improved the city. The one thing they do is take really good care of their properties. So you can't blame them for that. But that's what she's going to mention here. And then she makes a joke about it.
The REIT program. It seems like we're losing a lot of housing that is much needed. One of them's in Mr. Martinez's district. So
kinda quiet.
can we request that you search out other places that would be applicable? I can give you a couple of addresses. 4810 Sunset
I believe so,
Boulevard.
Christy.
There's 500 rooms,
don't
I believe.
that was the case. I think
Elevators,
that,
everything. Very, I think it's probably
I think
nice.
that was
Except for the blasted
just another one of their properties.
planters that are not ADA compatible. There's
But,
also 4820
Tom
Fountain
Cruise
Avenue, which
donates
is
a
a
lot of money
hotel.
to Scientology.
It's already a hotel. So that would be one that maybe we could add on to it. I would love to see that happen. So Mr. Martinez, those are 2 addresses. Please look into that to get those properties up and running for unhoused
comes
individuals. By the way, that's the Church of Scientology and their hotel.
We haven't done the phones yet, Pete.
She's so
plenty of room
crafty.
because nobody's joining up anymore. But,
Okay, so I'm gonna
anyway,
need you to stick to the agenda items.
yes,
or you wanna review
sir.
the general?
The other agenda item I would like to
Because-
talk about is the
Again, she doesn't believe that the church has a right to religion, and it's a First Amendment right, and they don't believe that. They don't believe that the church has the right to exist. I don't think they would protest. I haven't seen where they've protested any other church, even the Catholic Church, right? I haven't seen them protesting there. But they have gone after Church of Scientology because of Danny Masterson. Again, remember, this goes back to the other night's conversation about individuals. We are all individuals. You cannot blame me for what someone else does. Danny Masterson is an individual. What he did was bad, awful, disgraceful. Doesn't mean it reflects on anyone else but Danny Masterson as the individual, right? So that was one of the things that they've been doing, especially at this restaurant called La Poubelle, which is by the Celebrity Center in Hollywood.
one with the liquor license. I personally just believe
What did we miss here?
more. But,
Okay, so I'm gonna
anyway,
need you to stick to the agenda items.
yes,
or you wanna
sir.
review the general?
The other
agenda.
agenda item I would like to talk about is the one with the liquor license. I personally just
La
believe there
Poubelle.
needs to be a moratorium on how many liquor licenses we give out. Now, am I allowed to talk about why I feel that
So
way?
I do not believe this item's open for public
You
comment.
said it was.
Are you talking about, which item are you talking about? Can you identify?
Well,
Come on,
can-
item-
So I would imagine she wants to limit people's ability to do business and decide who can have a liquor license and who can't. What she's getting towards is this protest against the owner of La Poubelle restaurant that they don't like, because the owner of La Poubelle, at the time Danny Masterson was in court, wrote a letter to the court about his character and the person that they knew. Many celebrities did that knew Danny Masterson. Apparently what Danny did was outside of the norm of who he is. We won't get into the whole Me Too movement and what was going on. I didn't watch the court proceedings. I didn't see the court proceedings. He was charged. He was found guilty. That's it. He is in jail.
Pause my time so I can look for it.
Right.
Because that's not fair. It's a liquor license, and it says that. I mean it. Like, I want my time paused.
Okay,
I have to go
so
look it up.
It's
leave
still
it
running.
at
Numbers that
23.
you said.
Can you hold our time for just this once?
Now
So
they're
when
holding
you
it.
provide public comment, we can't start and stop everybody's time when
Sure
they're
you
looking
can.
through
If
the
you ask me
agendas.
a question
So
for
we're
a
going to
point of
ask everybody to
clarification.
please come
Yes.
prepared so that you know
I was prepared.
which items. Hold on. You don't need to respond. This goes for everybody. So that you know which items and can
This is
identify
funnier
which
if
items
you've
you're
watched,
speaking to.
I
like,
said all
Believe you're
items.
speaking to 23, so please start our time again.
What's the numbers?
Give her
this is a
back
great
10
one to
seconds.
listen to, because
the
most of the
numbers that
time you
you,
can't really see. This is something new that Damon's been
Yeah,
doing,
right.
is
Hold on,
zooming
pause
in
one
on
second.
the
You're
on
see,
the
you're doing my
speakers,
time,
which
and
is
I
great.
believe it's 23.
Because the city's
23.
coverage of these meetings has a lot to be desired, especially the audio volume levels.
No.
Cops are right there.
I can't find it right now, but there's an item there for
LAPD.
a liquor license for a karaoke bar, and you took up a lot of my time. I don't appreciate it. The reason I don't want you to do it is because I've
Stop the
observed a
clock.
lot on this a bar with a liquor license, CUPs, all that called La Poubelle. Okay, and after observing them, I realized.
If you watch Audit LA for half a second, you'll see what a real life IRL troll this woman is. My Lanta Joe, I will have to make a fresh link to the Discord, but I can't do that while we're live. Now, if somebody in the Discord can make that fresh link and send it to me, see here, this is another one of these making money. Let's see. That all the Democrats keep bitching about, but you can make money texting your friends. It's getting closer. We're still what, 10, 12 days away? November 5th is around the corner. But if anybody wants to, in the Discord, make a new link and send it to me, I will post it up. But we'll work on that, Melanta. Discord's been pretty quiet. Since I've been quiet, right? Okay. But anyway, this Audit LA who's speaking, she's in the white t-shirt or the white hoodie. She's holding out her live stream camera. She was live during all of this. You can go watch it all from her, live stream. Audit LA. It's like a blue and gray badge type icon.
The city is zero on making sure that anyone follows their CUPs. Okay, so I had somebody, I wasn't even doing anything but scooting by, and I had a cigarette flicked at me. You're not allowed to smoke within 10 feet of it.
She is a liar. She is an absolute liar. Just so we are all clear. So for anybody who's seen their protest outside of La Poubelle restaurant, La Poubelle restaurant has, for years, had this awning that comes out over the front. La Poubelle, let's just have some fun for a minute, because I am not in a rush. Let me pull up, I guess probably Google Earth is the best way. probably the best way to see like Street View to really give you a layout, because this may be a slight rabbit hole, but new Google Earth home screen is coming. Okay, that's cool. Where is? Oh, I was looking at some island. It's funny. It remembered exactly where I was from the last time. I gotta come around. Let's see. Safari share. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Let's see if we can fix this. Let's see if we can fix this. I gotta find it in my list here. And then I gotta switch that. Give me 2 seconds here. Safari. There we go. Okay. Now I got it. Okay. Now you should be able to see that. I realized I did not do that either. I rushed into this live stream. I don't even have my main monitor up here. I'm going to fix that real quick just because of what I'm doing. See, I have to turn on an Apple TV, which is connected to a little teeny tiny. Come on, switch over. There it goes. Okay. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate you hanging with me on that. So anyway, so let's go over here to Los Angeles. And we'll zoom in. Google Earth is pretty cool. It does have some cool features. I don't want to do that. I wonder if I can just search it. We'll come in here. We'll zoom in. Taking a little trip to Los Angeles. We'll do a little quick diagram here. Well, apparently there's Skid Row. You don't have to go too far to find Skid Row. And the fact that they actually have an icon for it, or a header, I guess it would be. It's pretty amazing. Let's see. I haven't been to LA in a while. There's the world's famous Tommy. I miss Tommy's. Actually, I like Tommy's a lot. So, Larchmont, Melrose, Silver Lake. So here's Fountain, Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay. Let me see. I gotta get my. It's like I have been gone from LA for so long. I don't even remember where I'm at. I know where I'm at, kind of, but here's Western. Okay, here's Sunset. Here is, oh look, helpful. Church of Scientology Celebrity Center, right? So this is going to get us right into where we're talking about. Can I hide this header? No, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. There we go. So it's kind of cool because this, I gotta figure out. It's Franklin Avenue, and this is what, Bronson? Yeah, North Bronson. So, as you can see, here is Church of Scientology. This is the parking lot. They would stand out here and harass people coming in. One of the things that they enjoyed doing was harassing people that showed up. Evil twins, which is funny because you don't realize how that connects to Scientology. Really, what? Honkus. Now it's Skid Rows. Yeah, it kind of is. LA is just one big, but only in certain areas, which is really strange. You don't find a Skid Row in Beverly Hills anywhere with its own police department. Santa Monica, well, Santa Monica's different. That's a whole nother. They They allow it. So here's La Poubelle. And look, you can even see the awning. So this area here, this awning, they have like an underneath area. And let me see, I can get down here. But you can see from the aerial view how much sidewalk there is here. City of Los Angeles requires 4 feet, ADA compliance. So even if you're doing a television show and you're working on a street, you have to leave a 4-foot clearance. So like if back in the old days, if I wanted to run dolly track across this road, I couldn't do that. They would not allow it unless the production owned this lane all the way down so that somebody could roll off into this lane, not be in danger with traffic, and be able to go around. That's the only way. You always had to have some 4-foot lane. So La Poubelle and all of these businesses here. This is the chicken place, the sushi stop. There's an ice cream place in here. And then there's the Upright Citizens Brigade. There's Birds, the chicken place. This Daily Planet bookstore has been there forever. A little magazine rack. The firemen, look, I think that's even a fire truck sitting right there. The firemen pull in and go in and get coffee and do things. It's sort of a hot spot in that area, this Franklin district. And that's just, I don't know. It's that area. It's been that way for a long time. But these protesters, what she's talking about, and she's going to get into a little bit. She only has a very short period of time. She is going after the owner of this restaurant's liquor license. Now, the funny thing is the restaurant owner doesn't own the rooftop and doesn't own the billboard that you're seeing here in the screen. Scientology had paid for one of their ads up on top of that billboard. Strangely enough, it's right across the street from Celebrity Center, right? Kind of makes sense. But of course, Scott believes that this woman owns the entire building. This is a major, major building in Los Angeles. I'm sure the property alone is worth millions, depending on how many owners, different buildings. Also, too, is when I lived there, these buildings are old. They're also a bit of a fire hazard. She got kicked out of there. She might be. I don't know. I do find it strange, the drug abuse from former Scientologists, particularly her, where, that in Scientology, drug abuse is really frowned upon. And in fact, you cannot do Scientology auditing. You cannot, their tech does not work on people, they say, that have used hallucinogenics. So you have to attest and basically pass the lie detector, which it's not a lie detector. It's the e-meter, that you didn't use drugs and you haven't used any hallucinogenic drugs, because it's wasted on you because your brain has been fried by, those drugs. But anyway, I do find it funny that she's using a lot of drugs, because Scientologists don't use drugs. They barely drink. They will drink when they're not on course, but help Danny get women, in her own words. I did see that interview that she did where she admits to, being besties with Danny. I don't know that she didn't specifically say that. Whether she did or not, it doesn't matter. Her and Danny were buds. And, pointless to the story. She was Danny's wingman. Look, I'm as somebody who has been around a pretty good number of celebrities working in the film industry, show. It's a religion. By definition, it's a religion. And it's also science, because there's a lot of science to Scientology, right? Trust the science. I think that's what we were told. No, not really. Yeah, I'm sorry. Totally forgot where I was going with that. But being around celebrities, you have people who are attracted to the idea of celebrities, and they just want to be with and around celebrities, right? It is a thing. You have to keep that in mind when you talk about people like Danny Masterson, Diddy. Everybody wanted to be friends with Diddy, right? Diddy's a huge rapper, right? It's they get the girls, they get the guys, people are attracted to that. People are attracted to money, right? Whatever their motivations are, they've made that decision. Not to say what happened is correct or right, but you put yourself in a situation. Laura was doing that, and now she regrets being Scientology, whatever. I don't really know what her motivations are, but I know that one of the things she talks about is the fact that her father has disconnected from her, which, by the way, is not a mandatory thing in Scientology. He disconnected from her, I'm sure, because of the way she acts, the drug abuse, whatever issues she's got going on. He would have done a process of steps before just disconnecting with her. That being said, P. Diddle, yes, P. Diddle, oil guy. But yeah, so let's get back here. So she's talking about this. This is La Poubelle. This is where they were protesting. They would take up this sidewalk here and harass people going in and out of La Poubelle. How far in can we go? Oh, let's see. Can I just drop that there? Let's see. Oh, Street View. It's coming. Okay. So here's La Poubelle looking around. You can see how out here this is. And then La Poubelle has these plastic windows and walls that they would put up. And they'd harass the guy who runs the place, the bouncer, not that it's Hollywood. You got to have a bouncer, doorman, because they get busy certain nights, right? So these people would stand out here in this 4-foot area when they'd put up when they'd put tables outside. So they do little cafe tables. I haven't eaten at La Poubelle in a long time, but I will tell you this. The Oaks Gourmet right here makes a hell of a sandwich. Incredible beer and wine selection and crudité, cheeses and meats and whatnot. Nice little gourmet grocery store. If you're ever in LA, I highly recommend it. And this Gelson's over here is a fantastic grocery store. Hot food, all kinds of stuff. Very nice. It's no Bristol Farms, but it's not Publix. But anyway, this used to be an old record store. I think the record store might be gone. I don't know for sure, but that was one of the last record stores in LA next to what's the big used record store? Amoeba Music. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, that's it. Here's the Scientology Church Celebrity Center over here. Scott was harassing the guys that were working on the grass, this area right here, this easement, which is between the curb there and the sidewalk. known as an easement is the responsibility of that church right there. That's their property. And Scott once went over there and harassed the lawn crew that was working on putting in sprinklers, whatever. For those of you who saw it, good fun. He almost got his ass kicked that day by a passerby who was standing up for the lawn crew that was working out there, who had nothing to do with Scientology other than they were doing a job. But anyway, let's get back over here to this video. Hear what she's talking about, because she's trying to get the liquor license taken away because of the cigarette that was flicked at her, because she was protesting, harassing people. And then she also claimed that she couldn't. I have video of her from Scott's live stream of her actually riding her scooter by while simultaneously trying to say she can't get by. Clear path, no troubles. They're liars. They're just straight up liars. They've harassed the neighborhood here in Franklin for months. And the owner of La Poubelle is out. Well, last I heard, Scott said $175,000. But they harassed this woman's business so bad, and then they claim to be journalists and use slap laws like we've seen done before by other activists in LA.
You know, all kinds of things happening. So you guys are not able to do that. You know, I mean, you don't enforce anything. It's like lawlessness. And, you know, and I just do, for Gadfly, I do want to say that God is relevant for every,
the judge
item.
in the case called Scott a gadfly. You can look that up on your own.
Comment?
Thank you. Well, for my public comment, well, it's great that nobody's here to listen to it, so I guess I don't know, does it really matter? I'm here to support Mr. Andre Marini, okay? And thank you, Mr. McCosker. You're the only one. Like, you are the only one who listens, and I appreciate you. He is facing charges. He's facing jail time because the Church of Scientology had the entire encroachment of the entire...
Okay, so let's go take a look at this so that you understand, because I know most of you are not paying attention, don't see the stuff. I'm actually thankful you don't pay any attention to that guy. So let's wind out here. Can I rotate that? Come on. Okay, so we're going to go over to Sunset. Sunset Boulevard is down here. And the big church building. Let's see here. There's Hollywood, there's Sunset. Musso and Frank's one of my favorites. Sunset Gower Studios. Did I go the wrong direction? Yeah. We got to come across the freeway. And let's see here. There it is, right there. So this has been one of those things that they've talked about for a while. I didn't realize you were not able to see that. Why is that not doing that? Preview mode. No. It's not switching. It's funny, it's not working when I have that connected to that. iPad share. Let's go back here. Okay, there we go. So this is the Scientology, like, big blue building in LA. So this is the big blue building here. Let's go down on the street and I'll show you what it looks like from the street. It's pretty cool. Okay. So this is, and you can see it in this picture, how it's closed. That's kind of helpful, actually. I did not realize we were going to get this sort of, They do a lot of events. So this is a road known as L. Ron Hubbard Way. So apparently the church bought this side of the street, this side of the street. This is all an old hospital, and there's tunnels that run between the buildings for the hospital. And then apparently there's tunnels under this side. There's a morgue over there somewhere. These tunnels have been known for a long time. Scott discovered the tunnels in his mind, and he learned about the tunnels. He didn't discover the tunnels. When he learned that there's these tunnels, he goes, "Oh, I've found something that is going to destroy Scientology." He had somebody on his live stream, I forget her name, and she actually is a former Scientologist, way more intelligent than Scott. But Scott can't quite figure this out. She says, "Yeah, Scott, these tunnels have been there for years. They're not really used anymore because they didn't keep them up. They didn't need them." But she said, "I was down in those tunnels when I was a kid," she says. We used to go down there and play, I think was the word she used. For they have hot dogs in the tunnels? No, I don't think they have hot dogs in the tunnels. Did I say hot dogs? No, Linda Lou. They did not lose their tax-exempt status. And I doubt they will. They're a church. Until they take away tax-exempt status for all churches, they're going to have a hard time revoking that. But that's one of the things that the activists claim to want, is people to go after the tax-exempt status of the Church of Scientology. And again, I'm going to say this. I haven't been in Scientology for 10 years. In fact, I got the phone call I shared with you, the text or the voicemail message saying, "Hey, we see that you haven't been around the church in 10 years. You haven't been serviced." Like, they're relentless when you leave the church. Anyway, I don't support the church. I don't recommend the church. People can do what they want. It's religion. If you want to be Buddhist, you want to be whatever, go be it. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you what to do or what not to do. It's up to you. My experience was different. I didn't have a bad experience. In fact, I might have gotten some good things out of it. But that's that. Anyway, so here's this. So one of the things they talk about and that their claims are is that child labor built this road. Well, according to the LA Times, everyone in the church community came out to lay this brick. It is a public road, but it's also partially part of the church, right? Because it was all the church property that split. They used the road that they built, that they laid the brick for events. It's part of their whole space. They get permits to close the road off, and that's what they do. Now, Scott is of the belief, as well as the other protesters, that it's all done for them, to stop them from going out and protesting. So let's go back up out of this view and take a look at this road. Now, there are homes up here. They are not all owned by Scientology. They're not all owned by Scientology. But you can see, like, here's the new hospital over here. And then there's more stuff in there. But this road and this building here and some of these other buildings in here apparently are owned by Scientology. But that is their road. This whole block is all Scientology. Parking lots up here, which Scott went in. Apparently the church allows some outreach group to they were giving away food. They were doing like food pantry for the community out of this parking lot. Well, Scott harassed them because doing good, but because they're using the Scientology parking lot, they must be evil. That's how he equated what was going on. But like you've got different buildings, Church of Scientology. This is the St. Hill building, right? St. Hill organization. All of these buildings have different purposes and what they do within the church. And then you've got AOLA, which is the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles, down in this corner. In Scientology, different. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this properly, because I'm not an advanced Scientologist by any means. I wasn't there long enough. Advanced organization is where the upper levels of Scientology, certain levels of Scientology. There's certain levels on what they call the bridge that can only be done on a ship that's constantly moving around the seas, and you go on the ship and you do courses and you sort of have a vacation. I've seen pictures, people, they like been in the Galapagos Islands and all kinds of crazy destinations. And then there's also Clearwater, Florida, which has a huge Scientology town, basically. Scientology owns most of Clearwater, it appears. I've driven through Clearwater, but never did any sort of courses or anything there. But that's one of the things there. So you can see like that whole block has always been, I cannot rotate. Why will it not allow me to rotate? Show you location, tilt view. Oh, okay. Tilt heading. Okay, I want to turn it that way. There we go. All right. So the church uses that road all the time. And that's what she's talking about, is they were out there protesting. Now, they had been out there for months protesting. And it's not, everyone knows it. Scott's been out there in the morning. He goes out between 8 and 9 when they're not. So like you have sort of course times, like school classes. You got morning, and then you've got lunch, and then you've got evening, and then you've got nighttime. So you've got after breakfast, they go for whatever. So like everybody comes into the church apparently around 8 or 9 in the morning. And then they're all on course. Everybody's gone. They're up in the course rooms doing their thing. And then they break for lunch. And then, if you're on course and you go have lunch, and then you go back on course. And then you might have a dinner break, right? And then you go back on course. So what Scott's doing is he's hanging out during these break times outside of this. I don't know if it'll show up. Drop it down here. So this outside area is a cafe, and he's been hanging out harassing people. So this cafe has been the site of, there was a group of men who came over and gave him a hard time. One of them knocked over his griddle, tripped into his griddle. Scott does not like getting harassed the way he harasses people. So, of course, he has a shit fit, right? And he wants the cops there at a moment's notice. Well, this goes back to when you call LAPD, depending on what your complaint is. You either get assistance right away if it's a violent enough crime, or, falls within their needs, or, or like they assaulted my griddle. Who's they? These men, they're here, and he describes what the guys look like. It turns out that they're former gang members who were parked in this parking lot over here. Ah, son of a bitch. I am so sorry. I did not do that right at all. I forgot to hit that button. or I did hit the button, and for some reason, it's just not working. So here. Coming back just a little bit. Cafe. Got it? Cafe. What they did was they set up like their little grill. They were going to feed the homeless out here because, you know, if they feed the homeless and that's not protesting, they can do that, right? So they use this feeding the homeless as a way to be out there and protest. Very creative. Anyway, these guys came from over here in this parking lot. And it turns out that they are part of an anti-gang and drug prevention group that is supported by Scientology. And pretty mean-looking, you know, gang members. But they may not have liked what was going on with Scott and what the group was doing, harassing elderly people, people who are exercising their right to religion, right? And so they came over to mess with Scott, and it was sort of glorious, really. Very intimidating, very intimidating. Much like Scott is towards women and whatnot out at La Poubelle, which I can't show you because Scott will strike my channel and then we can't have this time together. So I'm not going to do that. Maybe we'll just make a whole separate channel. Let him just strike away. That might be fun. Because I had some highlights. He even sat out here one day. I don't remember if he was sitting in a bench or if he was just walking in the street. Literally talked about burning the place down. Talked about doing this. And that he wanted to burn down Scientology. That's what he said on his live stream. That's what I have recorded. I can't show it to you. But I have it. And the funny thing is he claims that the Scientology lawyers were going after the group, and one of them in the group making threats towards the church. The weird part was he was the one, and he sat there in this live stream months later. I never did that. We never did that. Well, yeah, kind of did. But anyway, so that's where we're at, and this is the road. And so they use this for their events, and this is all laid by hand. The blood of children, according to Scott, laid the brick on this road. Apparently they did it very fast, in like a day. It was remarkable. That's what the LA Times story was all about, and how they did that. But you know, this is beautiful. Like, this is Los Angeles, and you've seen all the other videos and the homelessness and whatnot. But this is actually really nicely, well manicured, done by the Sea Org members, people who have like given their lives to the church, I guess, like a nun or a priest gives their life to the Catholic faith, and they join the seminary. Same thing. That's what Sea Org members are until they leave the Sea Org, which they can do. Scott doesn't realize they can, but they can. And they also agree to join the Sea Org with certain rules. You can't have children as one of the main things. If you get your wife pregnant while you are Sea Org members, you have to leave the Sea Org. You cannot have children while in the Sea Org. So that's the rule. You think you heard what? Right, Joe? They basically said, we're going to fight back. We're a church. We want the same rights as any other church. Short stories. But yeah, they fought the IRS and they won. So you got to give them credit. Linda Lou said child labor. No, there's no child labor. Just like Linda Lou, I know you have kids, and I'm not talking about kids, but I know you're a parent. You teach your kids good habits. You teach them to, you give them chores, right? Responsibility at a young age. It teaches them, oh, look, Chrissy's here. Hi, Chrissy. You're my favorite. You know, you give children duties, and that is what Scientology believes in as well. It's not child labor. It's messed. And I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time. The concept being is that life is a balance. You have to balance work and play, responsibility, finances. All of these things require your attention. Your stats, they would refer to it as. And your stats, you want to balance your stats. You can't have all family time, because if you have all family time, you might miss your responsibility of providing, you know, a home through financial, you know, having a job, making money, right? If you work too much, you miss out on life. But then, you know, you have a home, you have a car, you need to take care of those. You need to take care of those things to maintain them and keep them to last. So you need to spend time cleaning your house. You need to spend time with your family, you know. If you can combine all of those things together, even better, right? But like, it's all about having that balance for Scientology in an ideal world. That's their belief. Everything is balanced. The universe is designed around it. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Joe? So like, that's the thing that these protesters conflate. And the thing that, you know, it's like joining the Marines. You have rules that you have to live by. Now, I'm not saying you're joining Scientology. That's only if you are a Sea Org member, right? But the values of Scientology is for, you know, the public as well. You have public, and then you have staff, and then you have Sea Org, and all those different things. They have built a community. Like today, somehow, because I watch, this is a side, a little rabbit hole, going through some social media, and I see this kind of interesting behind the scenes look at a flying camera rig. And I don't know what it's for. I just know that it's in an auditorium, it's this and that. And I'm watching the guy discuss and talk about and show how the table's set up, how their equipment is organized, and what he's done to make this system work. And I start looking at it and going through some of his other videos. Well, it turns out it's for a church. They have like 3 million plus subscribers on YouTube. And they have one of the most incredible live stream setups I've ever seen. And how they bring in churches from other sides and whatnot. They've created this community and people who work in the control room and everything they do. And it really is amazing. I don't know what kind of church it is. I just know that it's a church and a pastor, and they create incredible church live streams, entertainment. It's no different than Scientology, right? They've got their community. They do it on a massive scale. They have their own publishing. They have their own video production. They have their own farm where I believe they grow their own food partially, right? They do a lot of their own construction. They have, like, when they renovate a building, I know that they use migrant help. They all kinds of things. They don't like unions, by the way. That's one of the things I found out years ago as I was in a union. I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. But they have their system of doing things that clearly is effective because they do it very quickly. And somehow manage to get things done. Also, that's Scientology. Think of Tom Cruise and his demeanor and his ability to, do these crazy stunts, and the things that he's, learned to fly jet planes, and, like that all sort of does stem from Scientology. And so that's what that is. And just imagine a bunch of Tom Cruises running around trying to get a building renovated or that's Scientology. And I give them a lot of respect for that, because they've earned it. They've clearly done a lot for the city, and can't hate on that. They own that blue building down at the end down there. They own this building down here. They own a number of buildings around, because if you're in the Sea Org, you get housing as part of your being in the Sea Org, right? So they've got housing all over the place. Sea Org members tend to ride bicycles, walk, and then they also have like their own bus system. So they've got drivers, they've got all kinds of people within the Sea Org. That is their job. You could work in the restaurants, where they feed the Scientologists, the cafes that they have. The Celebrity Center has its own little cafe. It has a gourmet restaurant in the Celebrity Center that I think anybody can go to. It's not cheap. It is good. But it's like old Hollywood kind of feel in there and whatnot. And last time I ate there, the food was amazing. Gra, that's awesome. Don't give away the secrets. Don't give away the secrets. You've said too much already. Or if you're Danny Masterson, they'll try and help cover up your bad deeds. Is that what was found, Travis? So we won't get into that, because I don't know what the courts revealed. But as just like any church, how they deal with matters, there's no evidence that I've seen yet that shows that the church knew exactly what had happened, which is the claim. So I can't get into it because I don't know anything about it. Right? But what I will say is no one that I know in the church would ever think that that was acceptable. No one. Right? That being said, I wouldn't have put up with it had I known, right? And I wasn't even there. But the simple fact is that the claims that these Scientologist protesters make, I've never seen or had any, like, there is nothing inherently bad directly about the church. Could there be bad people? Absolutely. People are individuals. Highly unlikely, but that's what it is. Just like in the Catholic religion, most Catholics would never harm anyone. But you're always going to have that one person that people will see and then judge everybody based on that. They're an individual. So they say. That's the thing, is they say. They say. These are all like rumors. I've never seen anything evidentiary, solid, that shows me differently. I'm realistic. I believe in facts. But I haven't seen that. Watching live streams. The funny thing is, anytime I've said anything in any of these live streams of these protesters, And don't get me wrong, if it wasn't for the abusive nonsense and how they've been treating people, I wouldn't have paid any attention to him. Scott made sure that he pulled me into it at the very beginning. I don't care. You want to put my name on a sign and stand in front of a building? Go right ahead, Scott. But it's how he's been abusive towards women, older people, the elderly, the abuse that he's, and yes, you have a First Amendment right to be an asshole. Absolutely. Am I going to not call you out for being a complete dick? Yeah, absolutely. And the one night, there was a man on a bicycle, and Scott ended up tackling this guy. And I think he got arrested that night for that. They've tried to shut down this woman's business. They're attacking people outside of the church constantly for their briefcases. Those are called e-meters. And again, it's another one of those things that Scientology makes money on. They sell these e-meters just like they sell all of their books and all this stuff, right? Call it a racket, call it whatever you want. They sell a lot of Bibles, right? Everybody got to have their own Bible. Enough said. But he is a terrible person. But Doxing Grandma, he's a terrible person because he doesn't use his head and he doesn't treat people like individuals. And then his latest thing is he's going to go up to these people and make them condemn something that's not happening. So they ignore him. And then when they ignore him, because that's what you do with trolls, is you just ignore them. He goes, see, I must be right because they're ignoring me. No, they're ignoring you because they're decent people who aren't going to give you the time of day with your bullshit. So they ignore you. They walk away from you. They quote unquote hide from you because that's just how you do with people like you. The ones who don't hide end up getting in fights, getting in lawsuits because you use the legal system because you're an asshole. There you go. So that's what she's talking about here. Let's get back to this video because you'll hear what she's saying about Henry being arrested. Now, I don't remember why Henry was arrested. I'm pretty sure that the police officer said, no, you don't have a right to go down this sidewalk. They're permitted for the closure. But remember, the police officers and Scientology all know why Henry, why all these people are there. They're there to just fucking harass people and their First Amendment rights. So take your First Amendment rights, go fuck yourself. Stand there and scream from the corner. Have your voice heard. They don't hold up signs and go, Scientology, whatever. You know, they want to go and yell in people's faces. And they think that they have that right. Anytime anybody walks away, because you have just as much right to not have to listen to them. So in these rooms up here and in these rooms over here, one of the things that happened, Scott got arrested for disrupting a religious service, which is a protected right? And he broke all the cardinal rules because I'm sure they have a recording from inside, I would imagine, right? They had all of the things for LAPD to arrest him for disrupting. And I looked it up. I don't have it firsthand. But it was quite easy. Vulgar speech. And it's not just vulgar speech. It's attacking the church. He was on a megaphone. You can hear through the windows. I'm sure they've documented this, and that'll be a problem for Scott. He's still facing them as far as I know. I don't think he's gotten a. KT PETA says Louis Repetto's ex-wife still works there. Does she work there? What does she do? She was the one that handed out the fake permits. Well, they're not fake permits. They have to. I don't understand why people have such a hard time with this. You cannot film in LA. You cannot do anything in LA without a permit. There's no fake permit. And even if, just imagine this for half a second. Is it a public street? Yeah, you can drive down it. They kind of share. And for half a second, just understand, do you think that this is any normal street in LA? No. It splits Scientology in half, the two sides of the street, right? So I don't know how these people access it, but again, you live there. I'm sure they let anybody go down the street. They didn't want the protesters out there, right? They know exactly why the protesters are there. And so the cops are even like, no, you're not allowed past here, because they're tired of the protesters being assholes to people, right? And so for whatever reason, here, we'll go down here a little more. Again, I don't know who owns these buildings, but look, they look like they're owned and taken care of by Scientology. And I would think that you'd be pretty lucky to live in such a nice little neighborhood. Here's work crew out there. They got their stop signs, their paddles. You got some more homes down here. These have driveways, right? My limited experience with Scientology, they probably take great care of these neighbors. And I would imagine most likely there's Scientologists that live there. Now, I know that they claim to find somebody who said, oh, I live there, and they don't let me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. Because there's no evidence of them actually living on this block. Because frankly, I don't think the person looked like they could have lived on the block. But see here, Scientology. If you hate Scientology so much, the last place you're going to live is right there. Unless you want to live in a nice, clean neighborhood. How nice it is. Anyway, let's go back and check out the rest of this. Let's hear what she
Catalina, where nobody could get in and out of their cars. I couldn't go with the chair off, out of an Access Paratransit. And all he did was roll it up so we could get by. There was no permits for it. There was no
reason
anything
to go down
for
that
it.
road other than
The people who put it there, the Church of Scientology, did not get fined.
She wants them to believe that she lives there or something.
Nothing.
You're right.
But he's looking at jail time. And I asked the attorneys, please ask them. This is a
look at Laura tweaking out back there in the yellow.
Putting him in jail or trying to put him in jail or convicting him is bogus.
She's coming up next.
Have them drop. Heidi needs to drop those charges now. It's ridiculous.
Naxios report. This
Before
year's
the next
average
speaker
ticket.
begins, I will call the last name. Hassan Sinwar.
Oh, sorry, nope.
The average ticket is $1,368, almost exactly double last year's average ticket of $685. To see the Dodgers in the 2020 World Series was $689.
General comment.
$1,400 for the average ticket at
I'm
Dodger
Laura
Stadium.
Anderson. I'm here talking again. Attached
So
with
this is
Henry
DOA's
and
girlfriend.
Audit LA regarding the Church of Scientology. I call it the cult of Scientology. I was a child born and raised in this organization.
Yeah.
I was the child instructed later in my child career. You're not allowed to be a child in Scientology, to be hiding crimes, criminal assaults, rape, pedophilia through auditing of Scientology because they're a religion. There are protesters every single.
Just to be clear, she is making a claim based on her beliefs of what this is in quote unquote auditing. She's not specific, and she does not. She is disingenuous No, I would say she's not right, because she's also making claims that are unproven. You have to understand what auditing is, right? So just an example, not good, probably not bad, I don't know. If you're walking through an airport and your hand touches someone of the opposite sex on the backside, the bottom, the buttocks, in her belief, that is a sexual assault, right? That's where this comes from. Based on what I've seen her talk about, these protesters, one of them is at a Scientology organization. Where was that? Wherever it was. They're outside on the street, on the sidewalk, and they've chalked up, they've written Scientology is a cult, all these different things, their sayings, they've chalked up the sidewalk. One of the Scientologists goes outside with a pressure washer, hose, pressure washer, starts cleaning the chalk off the sidewalk. She gets in his face. She has very large breasts. She's not like Morgan, if you remember Morgan, breasts. She has very large breasts, and her breasts rub up against the Scientologist. I would imagine, and the reason why Scientology filed charges against her was more about personal space and what she was doing, which was on her live stream. You could see what she was doing, harassing this man, cleaning up the sidewalk. She nuts. Yes, she is. That is probably the nicest way you could put it, ZDT. Definitely the nicest way you could put it. But she's nuts. And they call it boobgate, because when she did it to him, oh, it's not a thing, it's not real, gaslighting begins. The minute, so in Scientology, the auditing is about working through your problems and your issues and whatever that may be. And so that is what she's describing here in part. And Scientologists are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Direct, right? You learn that words don't have, but they're defined meaning. So the better your communication skills, which I'm not the best, the faster and quicker you'll audit, you'll get out. And some people audit very quickly because they communicate really well, they have good internalization, they can get out whatever that is. Now, also keep in mind that auditing is protected, right? Like seeing a shrink, it would have and carry similar rules. Keep that in mind. So what you say, all of these things, they are protected. I don't know how that works. I'm not a lawyer, but I just want to make sure you understand you're in with a doctor, you're in with a lawyer, you're in with a psychologist. That is the principles of auditing. Now, they have cameras, and you know that the cameras are there when you're being audited. You know that these auditing rooms have cameras in different places so that if there's any question about the auditing, for you raise a concern, something inappropriate happened, guess what? It's on camera, and other moral beings can see it and check it and make sure everything was done to tech standards, right? So there's that. The audio is recorded. people like to say, oh, this is used against you. Well, one, if it was used against you, that is a huge legality for the church. The other thing too is with all of, and this is a little sidebar to that whole logic, anyone who doesn't think that the federal government, agents, police, some sort of law enforcement hasn't been into Scientology, isn't in Scientology, is out of their mind. They've been in every group, every militia, every left-wing organization, every right-wing organization, every organization in America. Law enforcement is in there. They have insiders. And if you don't think that, look at the officers, the FBI agents, they were FBI, Waco. Just think about that for a second, right? You know they're in there. If they saw anything, you don't think Scientology would be shut down? That's what I'm saying. So anyway, it's all so on the nose. I don't know what happened to Laura, which, by the way, Scott cannot even get it. He calls her Laura. Her name is Lara. Lara FM. Lara. He can't even say her name right. But I don't know what happened with her. Her father's still in Scientology. She has seen him on live stream. He ignores her. She's out there screaming at the top of her lungs, acting a fool, doing drugs. I can understand from a Scientology aspect why he would disconnect from her. She believes she can demand something of him. Well, you can't. The man has decided what he wants in his life. And so if he disconnected from her, which happens all the time, and a great example that I go back to with the disconnection in Scientology is not Pablo, what the hell's his damn name? Her bandmate. He talks about disconnecting from someone in his life that was truly what they would call a suppressive person, right? Either did him wrong or something like that. You disconnect from, we all disconnect from people in our lives, whether we're Scientologists or not. You know what healthy relationships are. So anybody who says that, Scientology demands you disconnect from, it's not true. They don't demand you disconnect from anyone. However, if there's a problem, somebody in your life is quote unquote, like these people call suppressive. These are like the protesters consider them suppressive persons TV. A suppressive person is somebody who treats you poorly, is abusive towards you, Scott, right? Who does not support you in life, in your choices. If you're doing something bad, that's a different thing, right? If somebody's on drugs, you need someone who's not going to support you doing drugs, right? So that's not what we're talking about. A truly suppressive person is a negative influence in your life. Now, you don't have to be a Scientologist to understand that, right? Nobody wants to hang around with people who don't treat them well. Suppressive person. Let's just imagine, I don't know, you've got a friend who's a complete fucking narcissist. Gaslights you constantly. You're gonna continue to hang out with somebody like that? No. You're gonna ignore the shit out of them. And you're going to push them away because you don't want them in your life. Don't call me. I don't want contact with you. If it comes to it, you go, okay, I'm going to have to get a restraining order. Done. That's what it means to disconnect from somebody. Scientologists do it because they've decided that they want and believe in the church and the tech of L. Ron Hubbard and whatnot. Not because it's a cult, but because it's something they believe in. Just like Christianity, whatever. If somebody came up to you and said, oh, you found Jesus. I You shouldn't do that. You know, and try to get you away from something that you feel is important to you, you're going to disconnect from it. Well, Scientology, they have a way of doing that. You write letters to that person. You tell them what is going on with you. This is an issue that I have with how you treat. And if you cannot understand or make changes in our relationship that allow me to be your friend, lover, whatever it is, then I will have to, no other choice but then to disconnect from you. So that's something that's often used when people leave Scientology. They claim, you know, there's this disconnect and, you know, you can't talk to people. Well, maybe. Well, why did they leave? Are they doing drugs? Are they suppressive? A true, you know, suppressive person. Yeah. Troy, that's exactly what that means. A lot of people don't understand this because, and this is why I wanted to show you how they go in front of LA City Council, because again, a lot of the LA City Council have had interactions and spent time either at events at the church, because the church holds a lot of events in LA. They're good at schmoozing, right? That's part of my phone. Sorry. That's part of anything, right? If you want to get things done in LA, you have to be Donald Trump, right? You gotta schmooze, you gotta play the game. And so, you know, Scientology and political candidates, whatever in LA, they all go hand in hand. Police, whatnot. And Scott thinks that's all a giant cover up. Whatever you want to, I don't even know what, like, but that's the belief from these protesters, is that they're all in cahoots. No, maybe they're just good fucking people who believe and think that they want to create a better world. Something that I think most people want, right? You want a world without drugs. They have programs to get people off drugs. Narconon, part of Scientology, right? They have Center for Human Rights, HCR, the Human Rights Campaign. The anti-Scientology people believe that is all a ruse. It's a cover for them to look good. No, they actually believe this stuff. They believe that they can create a better world through, you know, helping people. They go about helping people, especially like you're in a car accident. If you're a Scientologist and you come up on a car accident, you don't talk. You're very quiet because you don't want to create engrams, which later do more damage, is the belief, right? They have tech for dealing with all kinds of things. Now, you may not agree with that. That's their belief. It's all with the intention of this better society, better world, you know, helping people. You may not like the way they go around it, whatever. It is what it is. Scott's a closed mind as well as clouded. I don't know if you've noticed, Mozilla, Scott has been smoking a lot of weed ever since he came into all this money in LA and it's legal there. He doesn't hide it anymore, but he's smoking a lot. He's rarely sober. Rarely sober. Rarely sober. It's my experience. It's not every experience, right? People may have had something different, and I appreciate that. I'm just sharing what I've seen. I would never be a part of something that is anything like these people talk about, right? Now, Leah Remini, she did a whole series from, what was it, first season? I've been around enough Scientologists to know that what she talks about is true, right? But she also doesn't want to get sued, right? So she's going to, I think, I would argue that Leah Remini is going to be more fact-based and truthful because she has an awful lot to lose by not being truthful. She's also been sued by the church and whatever. I mean, it's a whole different thing. And I will never get into or even try to figure that out or understand that. But the basis of what she's saying and what I witnessed in my life and what my family went through is why we left Scientology. And that has, I said this before, mostly to do, about 95% for me, with the David Miscavige portion, which is the creation of more Scientology. It's like adding to the Bible and claiming that Jesus or whoever wrote I don't even know who wrote the Bible, right? Whoever wrote the Bible. No, Kathy, I do not believe Lara. Just like Serge, I don't believe, well, find a better way to listen, fact checker. I've tested, I've listened to the audio. I know what it's doing. I'm not turning it up. It's great. Go to a quieter room. So every time you guys come in and say that, I go back and I listen to it. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of things. It's probably on your end. It's just fine. That's right. Draw 5x5. My favorite one is Serge claims that he was trafficked. And we talked about it the other night. Serge was brought to the United States by his parents from Central America when he was a child. They were Scientologists, and they came to LA because they wanted to go further up the bridge in Scientology, and they brought their son and whatever other family. The parents made a decision for the children, and look how articulate and smart Serge turned out. I'm just guessing that most likely at some point, Serge did not agree with the moral principles of Scientology, one of which says that furthering the existence of Scientology and building a planet, a clear planet, involves procreation. That may have rubbed Serge the wrong way. And whether that's motivation for him acting out, I don't know his personal. I've listened to him. I've tried to question and ask him about these things. They always complained that they were made to do work. They were made to scrub toilets. So one of the things that happens if you break the rules in Scientology, just like if you're a child and you get grounded, you get scolded, you're made to do things that suck, right? You go stand in a corner, you lose your phone for a week, right? And I thought about ways to talk about this because I'm always blown away by today's kids, the Gen X. Now he's older, and they love to say children because if you're 16, yes, you are a child. If you're 17, you are a child. However, most Scientology kids that have had just their basics, where they learn to communicate better, right? They can look you in the eye when they talk to you. They can they learn to find themselves. And I kind of equate it to like that kid who's a child prodigy that graduates college when he's 15, the Doogie Housers of the world, right? Scientology kids tend to excel very quickly. One, because they're young and they learn so much faster, right? We know that as a fact, that kids pick up language. They do all of these things faster. They're whatever it is when we're kids. Like I'll be the first to say, I wish I had Scientology when I was a kid. Because one of the things that I had a problem with in school was reading comprehension. And still to this day, I still have a hard time like reading through something and I get to the end and I'm kind of lost. If I watch a YouTube video, I could build a house, I can redo a motor. I learn from watching. If I see somebody doing something, I can pick up on the nuances and see these things happening, and I can almost repeat it. It's worked that way for me for a long time. So, Linda Lou, you hear all that. Who knows? Who knows? They think I'm gay. I don't know. Why do you think somebody says something like that? Maybe he is. He's had a lot of wives, you know, and Scientology has set him up with all these, like, I've never once met anyone who's worked with Tom who's, oh yeah, he's gay. I've heard the stories about other actors. I can't say their names and the things that they've done. I've never heard those stories about Tom. So do I think he is? No, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I know that there's people who want to create these rumors because they don't like Scientology. They think Scientology, whatever. Like, if you can't give the guy the credit he deserves for his abilities as an actor, he was in Cocktail, which I heard a great story about. He saved Elizabeth Shue's life. Fuck, I couldn't imagine how our life would be without Elizabeth Shue in it. But yeah, no, it's why do you guys always believe everything you hear? Question what you hear. Understand what life is for people. People are going to search out something. So, you know, I don't want to take away from what Lara but everything I've heard them say, they sound like whiny, ungrateful people that have, and I'm going to say it one more time. Those who protest Scientology, who have never been in Scientology, known as never-ins, are complete dullards compared to all of the former Scientologists. And all of those former Scientologists are even way more together than I am. And they continue to use Scientology. Gra. I'll send you a list later, Gra. Funny note. I have a buddy who was actually really hurt because he was the only guy that the actor didn't hit on the TV show that they were shooting. And he's like, what's wrong with me? And he's not a bad looking guy, but apparently the actor clearly knew that he wasn't gay. So my buddy was just he felt kind of hurt, like I'm not good enough. And it was funny. It was a good bit, but I can't say who that is, but he definitely went to court and has lost his career over it. But anyway, yeah, here, let's finish watching this because I got to do dinner. But it's easy to expand on this. It's hard to watch.
They protesting the assault.
Here,
child instructed later in my child career. You're not allowed to be a child in Scientology, to be hiding crimes, criminal assaults, rape, pedophilia through auditing of Scientology because they're a religion. There are protesters every single day protesting the church, the cult of Scientology, like myself, who didn't and aren't allowed to speak to their family members anymore.
She sounds reasonable,
I am demanding that the city look into the people getting paid, gifted money, and little donations from Scientology. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're receiving them, you're going to be exposed. Heidi, stop signing off on.
Tell people, right? Don't be afraid to make your claims. Like, I would imagine it would be so easy to shut down Scientology if there was any proof whatsoever to the claims that they're making. The problem is there isn't. And again, so we're clear, I am no longer in Scientology. I haven't been for 10 years. I don't promote Scientology. I promote the truth and honesty. And I don't feel like people getting a bad rap unjustly is right. We got too much of that going on in the world. So, why can't I believe them? Because I don't just believe what people tell me to believe. Because that's what Scott's done. Scott has just repeated what he's been told. He doesn't verify anything. When you ask them to verify, they can't actually do that. They don't have the ability to do that. It's just them saying something. You saying something doesn't make it true. That's why, Kathy. How can you not understand that? Hopefully I'm speaking loud enough for you to understand me. Trust but verify. Serge is upset because he had done something that he got in trouble for, and his punishment was to scrub a toilet with a toothbrush. He wasn't violently attacked. He was forced to learn a lesson. You may not like what that lesson is, but guess what? He signed up for it. And then when he says he couldn't leave because they had his passport, we're talking about Los Angeles. Nobody needs a fucking passport in Los Angeles. I left Scientology. I didn't have to ask permission, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, this shit doesn't add up for me. Because I know it's not true. You're not captive. You're not held against your will. You decide and you make these choices. I know plenty of people who have left, quote unquote, the Sea Org and the billion-year contract, right? Like, that is illegal, by the way. The idea of keeping somebody against their will anywhere. Do you think if that was truly happening, that they wouldn't get shut down by the police? Come on. It's too on the nose. So he will answer that call. Who will answer that call? Mozilla, corporal punishment isn't the worst idea because obviously the stand in a corner and it isn't working. The everyone's a winner doesn't work. We get the problems that we have now without a doubt. And the disrespect and like the absolute buffoonery, as Tony says, is 100% true. You have people with no respect for anyone else. The most immoral people I've seen have been these anti-protesters, these anti-Scientology protesters. Because it doesn't matter what they're protesting today, they're all doing the same shit. They're shouting down everybody. Anybody who has stood up to them, which I've recorded it over and over again. My phone is full of this bullshit. Where anybody who's questioned what they're doing or questioned how they've been treating other people, human beings, gets called awful names. I don't, what is inside someone? Here, we'll go to the tape. What is inside someone that they can stand and berate someone they don't even know a thing about? They don't know their name. They've never seen them before in their life. What do you have to have inside of you to stand and do what these people do? I don't get it. Who are you people? It makes zero sense to me. Because you think you believe something that's just not true? That's what you're going to do? Against people who have had nothing to do. These aren't even Scientologists. These are people coming in and out of a restaurant. But because it's across the street from a Scientology building, a church, that these protesters are so fucking stupid that they think everybody in the restaurant is a Scientologist. It's like walking around LA and saying everybody's an illegal. It's just ridiculous. It's just not true. It's that is what I see. And that is why I'm showing you all this. Because I don't understand people. I really don't. I really don't. I wish I could. I wish my button would work. That's a great fucking button. That's not even the button I wanted. This is the one. Let's watch Lara FM continue to make an ass of herself. This is how out of their mind. Drugs do this to you, I think. I'm convinced that this is just drugs.
All those are restraining orders.
She's screaming in the microphone.
Speaker, your time has expired.
She continues to scream.
So the gentleman in the blue jacket with the bun, this is your first and only warning. Please do not disrupt this meeting, including public comment.
Oh, that would have been Scott. That's Scott. He's warning not to disrupt the meeting.
There are no other speakers. So,
and then they leave.
Mr. President, I believe we've exhausted public comment in the room. Would you like to move to virtual public comment?
Virtual public comment.
The audio's fine. It's just when you have people that don't know how mics work.
That guy standing up there, he's got some. He's the goat man. He makes goat sounds. I'm telling you, you gotta watch Smoke and Scan. Watch this from the beginning. The people who show up there on a regular basis. Don't get me wrong. It's not all of them. There's some people that actually go there for, real need to address, but the activists that show up, the people like Goat Man, who's apparently some big lawyer in LA. I don't know. Smoke and Scan will explain it to you. But go watch it. There's a reason he gets a lot of viewers watching these city council meetings is because they're entertaining as hell. They're entertaining as hell. But that's Goat Man. Waving goodbye.
That's when the problem arises.
All the digits ending in 725.
Hold on just a second. I don't know if people can hear you because of the disturbance outside. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Caller with the digits ending in 7.
Because the insane protesters outside. Oh my goodness. Oh. Rick B. Confusing as hell. Phone broken? With his phone broken? You got to expound on it. Did I miss something? How did I fix her phone? Whose phone did you fix? If you hit a child, that says more about you than them. Well, you know what, Chrissy? Maybe you should have had the paddle once in a while. I got a wooden spoon. There was that the paddle with the rubber ball and I would get swatted with that. I deserved it. I also learned to be respectful. I was a pretty good kid. I didn't get in a lot of trouble. I almost got in trouble for trying to paint the rival high school football field with a group of other people when I was a kid. Fortunately, I didn't get in any trouble, and we didn't even get to painting. We had a really great plan, though. But apparently the police were sitting there the whole time watching us. it's the whole North-South rivalry in the schools. Anyway, but I was a pretty good kid. But I had respect for adults. I had respect for law enforcement. And again, it's not 100%. I understand. But I think you need discipline. Children need discipline. And it takes more than standing in a corner. It doesn't work. It's proven to not work. I'm old enough now to realize that, no, I'm glad I didn't learn that way. So it's not assaulting a child. Very different, right? Beating up a child is not discipline. Discipline is discipline. Beating up a child and being abusive is wrong. 1,000%. But the problem is, Chrissy, is you can't understand the difference. Discipline and beating are two different things. Do you understand me, Chrissy? Am I clear? Do you get it? I would agree. Selfish children. Like the kids in Hagerstown that run around with shiesties on. I almost ran one over one day that ran a red light. Kid was so lucky I was fucking paying attention. That kid would have been dead. It's awful. But that was probably one of the closest calls. And the worst part was I was in a company vehicle. That would have been the worst for everybody. My mom never beat me. My dad never beat me. But I deserved a smack on the ass a couple times. And then sometimes I got away with not getting smacked on the ass. And I learned from just the thought of what would have happened if they found out. Because I knew what I did was wrong. There's nothing awful. Nothing that bad. Anyway. Any questions about anything? About what I've been showing you? I loved and respected my parents. I miss them. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Barbara. Did your aunt get the belt too? It sounds like she deserved it just as much. You know, parents deserve the belt once in a while too. Parents can do a better job sometimes. There's no perfect parent, right? And maybe when we're younger, we think, our parents are awful. I can't imagine there's any kid that grew up thinking, oh, my parents are the best. They're just super dandy. Maybe. I don't know. I think every kid finds something at some point in their life that they maybe, wish was different with their parents, but you're a living example. Yeah. It may have taken you, Gra, a long time to get there. And maybe it's because you've turned the corner and you're reversing to diapers, we'll say. Gra. In diapers, out diapers. you're getting closer to being back in diapers, and that, life has changed you. I get what you're saying. I don't think everybody else knows you, and I don't know you that well. I know you enough to know that I get what you're saying. Life has not been boring for you, Gra. I get that. I may have been a little more boring, but I just chose differently. I made choices that, yeah. Oh, fucking Chrissy. Chrissy, seriously. Back in the day, Wizzy, our parents did not have the tools. I got some lashings from nuns. Yeah, okay, good. When you hit a child out of anger, it is so much about the person being hit. Well, whether it is or isn't, Chrissy, you're not going to convince me that children don't need discipline. And based on what I know about you, you might have needed some more discipline because you're stubborn. You did you getting hit by nuns close off your head? Because I know a lot of people that got hit by nuns that are not as dense and stubborn and just actually abusive like you are. I would rather get struck as a child than be abused by somebody mentally like you, Chrissy, who gaslights the shit out of people. I can only imagine what you're like in person and how you treat other people in person. Because what I've seen you do and how you act online is far worse than any paddling or anything as far as I go. So, that's not what I said. Again, with the gaslighting, Chrissy, just get lost. We'll see you later. Had enough of Chrissy. She's useless. You cannot continue on the path you're in with me. There's if you can't be honest and have an honest conversation, there really is no point in any conversation. Door knocker. Yeah. You're going to be a lot of fun in someone else's chat. Till then. Or come in with an alt and try to be, a little more open-minded. So, all right, y'all. I'm going to go have some dinner. It's been a long day. I always have fun hanging out with you. Hopefully that all made sense. And maybe the next time we do a live stream, if you've got more questions, we can discuss it. More discipline for... She got the final bit of discipline. There was no hitting involved. I kicked her the fuck out of the house. So she is not welcome back. So, along with the rest of the jokers that have, well, there's some that might get a chance to come back, but I doubt Chrissy will. There's no point. Chrissy's been around a long time. So, all right, not you guys. All right, Wizzy out. Later, everybody. Peace.